being a VTuber doesn't make you special anymore. Now, sure, there are some special VTubers, and then there are some special VTubers in the possible mental health department, but that's not what I'm trying to get at. So, before I hear some rage comments, let me cook for a little bit. I know it seems like I'm trying to say that VTubers aren't anything, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is more or less to take a look at the evolution that VTubers have gone through and to seriously talk about why it is that Vtubing has sort of lost its initial luster. Because as much as other people might try and disagree with me on, for the most part, Vtubing has lost a lot of intrigue and a lot of its mystique in the past year, especially after it left. I know, dreaded word, I'll have to bleep that out in post, has gone through, and a lot of the streaming culture has changed back into more normal lives. Vtubing has sort of slowed down, and a lot of the bigger agencies, I won't go into any details as to what or which. If you are interested in stuff like that, there are plenty of news channels that have covered over some of the stuff. But a lot of them are kind of in a weird state with their fans. And there's a lot of fans now. I mean, if you've clicked on this video, you're probably one of a few dozen people who have found it. And if you're listening to this, then, well, first of all, thank you. But second of all, you like VTubing enough that you listened to a dude who said VTubers aren't special and were willing enough to at least hear me out. So thank you. But I want to preface something. This video is entirely unscripted. I'm literally just talking into a microphone in my room, and it will not be the most detailed video. There's not going to be a lot of history I plan on going over. I will eventually talk more in detail and bring up more history and things, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to see what people will think whenever I tell them what I truly believe to be the biggest issue in VTubing nowadays, and why it's a good thing. Now, enough vagueness. Let's get into the actual point that I'm trying to get into. Being a VTuber, just being a VTuber is no longer special. I mean, it isn't. There's thousands, tens of thousands. Pull up how many VTubers there are on Google right now. You'll probably see that it's upwards of the 10,000s by now. Being a VTuber is no longer the special part. 5-6 years ago, playing as an avatar on screen was more or less something that only happened in shows. So the idea of live streaming something like that was completely revolutionary. And then putting people behind that has only happened over the past 5 years, really. So where does that leave us, the people who want to become VTubers? It leaves us in a point where I think everyone talks about how oversaturated the VTubing market is, and I'm not here to tell you that they're wrong. In fact, they're more likely right. But that the oversaturation of VTubers, the fact that becoming special is more than just being a VTuber nowadays, is the best thing that has ever happened in VTubing. Now, again, I've only mostly said speculative things, so if you're waiting for me to get to the point, here it is. The VTubing scene in its first 2 years was some of the worst the VTubing sphere in terms of content and creativity was. I believe that's not because the people who were in it weren't talented, but that the sphere was so new and so fresh that knowing what the norms were allowed people to explore and push boundaries. But since VTubing was something entirely new, a lot of that stuff has kind of been pushed to the wayside. It's closer to what I would compare to the start of YouTube. Closer to when YouTube was just kind of this fun thing where people posted blogs, and how gaming channels came about. Now, if you didn't know, gaming channels and things like that were not there at the start of YouTube's creation. In fact, a lot of them were just highlights of people posting about games. But then a new sort of genre came up. Fun. Just people having fun playing games with their friends. And not in the real life formal style, but us just watching gameplay and listening to people talk. Some of those people now have millions upon millions of subscribers, whether or not it was with collabs or singletons. Heck, there was an entire race for PewDiePie to reach the highest subscriber milestone YouTube will ever demonstrate, as they've said so before, because he represented the actual heart of YouTube, and that's people enjoying themselves and having fun. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But Vtubing started out the exact same way. It was people who didn't want to show their face, who decided instead of just showing their face, they would show an avatar that would be their face. And it was just them having fun. But I'm not here to tell you that PewDiePie's channel is bad. It's one of the best content producing channels in the entire world. There's a reason why his channel has millions upon millions of subscribers. And it's because his content evolved from just having fun to learning how to make having fun a job. Now, I know where this sounds like it's going. VTubing is turning into a job and corporations and things, but that's not it. PewDiePie's career took a large portion of time where, honestly, his subscriber count just kind of metaled out, like how the VTubing sphere is now. And you could think of any major VTuber, or really any major YouTuber. If they've been around the block long enough, sure, their subscriber count keeps going up, but they don't have that big break. No real VTuber right now is blowing up charts. Sure, auditions and debuts and things are happening all the time, but that's now become more of the norm instead of these humongous events that literally every person in the sphere is keeping their eyes on. It's become a little more cliquish to where who and where you're watching will take precedent, as there's so much stuff going on. But that's the best part. The fact that the world of VTubing is stagnant right now means that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, whether or not we want to admit it or not. There's a lot of people who are looking at this, myself included, and are disappointed in some of our streamers or some of our content creators. And that disappointment, that feeling of the content not being the same or just being the same kind of content we've had for years on end, is burning out our favorite streamers. It is causing them for things to change. Now, there's been a lot of people moving around, especially in the big corporations. And if you know what I'm talking about, then I don't need to explain further. But if you don't, just look up a news channel about VTubing. You'll find it immediately. But that is not a problem. I don't want to address that. This video isn't going to be talking about whether or not that's a good thing or not. And especially with the more recent things that have been going on, I really don't want to talk about whether or not changing agencies and kind of keeping your brand identity and flipping it on its head is good for the VTubing industry. But I am here to say this. There's an opening, a large opening in the VTubing industry right now. Because a lot of people know about VTubers, but it's still not knowledgeable. A lot of people still don't understand what a VTuber is. But if you asked any parent what a gaming YouTuber is, they could probably name their son's favorite and give you a general idea on what they do. They play video games and they, stream content and their kids watch it. VTubing is going to be that. I think this upcoming year for VTubing is going to be a humongous renaissance in what we consider to be VTubers. Not in the sense that the VTubings and the faces and the things are going to change. No, I think VTubers are pretty much going to stay the same, if not have hundreds and hundreds of better and larger models and become a big thriving industry. But I think there's going to be a second awakening of what I would like to call a VTuber renaissance. Kind of this evolutionary period where people question what it is to be a VTuber again and look at everything and go, hey, this right here is not working anymore. We've tapped this well. The gold is gone. And we'll start rushing westward. Similar to how the Americans had ran westward the second they had found new ideas and new manifest destiny. There's a lot of mistakes VTubers have not made yet. And I think because of that small little fact that VTubing is still new, that VTubing is still relevant. There's a lot of things that I could go on about. The good things that keep happening in the industry, the huge collabs and the cons. But if you're getting that from what I'm saying, then let me try and reestablish what I'm trying to say. There's nothing in the VTubing industry right now that intrigues me the way it did a year ago. I personally have found most of the newest additions in the VTubing industry to be some of the most boring content I have ever consumed. And yet, it makes me so excited to join them. Not because I think their content is boring, but because I realize that I have consumed their content to the fullest, and they have now become a part of me. And they continue to produce that same content, their same style. That new and interesting flavor hasn't entered the sphere yet. Because a lot of creators are afraid to do that. They know their dish works, but if they take a step back and try something new, they might lose what they've got. This is the opportunity right now. If you've listened to the end of this video, please comment down below what it is and how you feel about VTubing, just in general, and what you want to see from whoever. Because I want to be one of those people who comes up with a new dish, a new style. And realistically, I know just becoming a VTuber isn't special enough for me to make it to those big stages like other people want me to. But I'm not gonna let that stop me. Sure, I'm no competitive gamer. I know I'm not the funniest person. I have difficulty talking with people, and sure, I'm no entertaining guru. This is all speculation from a guy who's been on YouTube for a few months now. Doesn't even have 10 subscribers as of making this video. But I can tell you right now, I've watched this go on for a very long time. And I'm willing to bet however much money people are willing to put in to say that next year, I'm gonna make it. There will be a point where myself or someone else will find the next biggest thing in VTubing, and it will happen next year. And when it does, I hope you all are here to watch me talk about it. All right, that's basically all I had to say. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you enjoyed, hit the funny buttons or comment down below why this video sucks. I know it's terrible, it's low effort, but give me a break. I haven't made a video in a few weeks and I had to produce something, right? And as always, keep dreaming. Bye.